babe, you can't charge $6 an hour and say that you're building an empire. Yet that's what I've been doing at the early stages of my business. And today I want to share in this episode some of the lessons from undercharging, not treating my business properly like a serious business, taking random Zoom, at the time that was Skype actually, Skype calls at 11 p.m, sending my IBAN through WhatsApp to get paid instead of having proper systems, softwares, just a normal business. Because for the longest time, I've been stuck in an archetype that I refer to as the hobby girl. And I want to share with you today how to get the fuck out of that archetype, because there are some very valid reasons why it's not our fault, why we are stuck in that, but also it's our responsibility to come out of that and really claim the seat at the table of your own company, of your own business, of you running the freaking show. And I don't want you to undercharge, and I don't want you to not feel confident about what you do. And I want you to feel empowered enough to go after what you really, really want. And I know that you have big dreams, big ambition. We all know, if you're here on this podcast, we have mad ambition. We want to move culture. We want to move the world. We want to impact people. We want to do something big. We want to make big money. We want the bougie lifestyle, the freedom lifestyle. And we want all of the fulfillment that comes with being really aligned with your mission, with your passion, with something that excites you and you're so good at doing. And what tends to happen is when we're really, really good at something, we're not 100% good at business, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're somehow into your personal development or spirituality. You just want to do things in a way that feels right and not in a bro energy, but you still want the bro results. You still want to make the millions. You still want to impact the world. You still want to be sipping your matcha in your Pilates outfit at 10 a.m. There was a time in my business where I genuinely believed that if I had more followers and one of my videos on Instagram would go viral, I would make shitloads of money and I would have no more problems. And of course, I'm not that stupid, but there is still always a part of me that had the hope, the desire, the aspiration that things will go this way. Because at the beginning, you don't know what you're doing. And so you're just hoping and praying, you're borrowing strategies from others, and you're just really doing your best, and you're showing the fuck up, and you're putting in the hours. So once we have that out of the way, we need to address the reasons behind undercharging. Why are you so afraid to say your rates? Why are you charging $6 an hour for your services when you know it's not even going to pay for your food or your bills or any of that? And that puts you really, really far away from the lifestyle that you aspire to actually live. So for me, it wasn't about gaining more followers. It was really about stepping into the identity of the CEO, of the businesswoman, of someone who is building a company, even if it's so different from all of my colleagues from business school, even if my family doesn't get what I'm doing, even if my partner doesn't get what I'm doing, even if my best friends, they just don't get it. They don't see the vision. They don't see what I'm building, but I see it. And I may not know exactly what I'm doing right now, but I'm going in that direction. And so I get to step into the CEO identity. In my work, the framework that I've built with my clients is based on 5 pillars. One of these pillars is what I call the big shift. And the big shift is all the mindset work and all the identity work so that we can step into that version of us. And that's a practice. Let me tell you, that's something that I'm initiated again and again and again and again, even right now with the podcast. I'm working with a podcast strategist to take Full Circle to the next level in terms of production, distribution, guests, everything. Full Circle is on its way to the fucking moon, but I had to go through that initiation of the big shift again. Let me explain. I've had my coaching business for a few years now, and I've had my podcast since 2020. I have over 180 episodes on my podcast. It's something I've showed up consistently. And yet I had this feeling of the podcast being this side thing. It's not really my business. I do it for fun, but I'm still like showing up and putting in the work, and I'm still advertising my offers in the podcast, and I still want the podcast to grow, but I don't really 100% take it seriously. So one more time, I was stuck in that hobby energy. Like I took the podcast not seriously enough. And it has been a whole process of taking actions towards making it more serious. In 2025, I showed up every single Friday with so much consistency, and I started to strategize my episodes around my launches. But I had to go a deeper layer for it to really land. I had to present myself as I'm a podcaster, and that still feels so edgy for me. And as I'm walking this path, this is very similar to what I'm walking my clients through when they're in the early stages of their businesses. And there is this little discomfort when a family member, not a family member, but like a friend of a family member asks what they do. And you're like, I'm like a coach. Or just this discomfort when someone asks you what you're doing, and you know that your job and what you're creating is a little different from the usual corporate job or the jobs that people are used to. I live in a very small town, so my job really surprises people. They don't have a clue of what I'm doing. Like my family still don't get what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure my partner doesn't really get fully what I'm doing, but I know you know, because we are in that same wavelength, right? So there is a lot of power in saying, this is who I'm claiming to be. And that posture of like, I am this. I run a business that does this. It's not just saying it. Of course, the practice, it's an amazing exercise, but you have to do the mindset work to step into that identity. You have to go through the big shift. And I knew that I was going through another initiation of the big shifts when my daughter just started daycare. So we were meeting new people from the daycare, and they asked, what do you do? And that was the very first time that with my job, I also said, and I have a podcast. I share that with my podcast strategist that I work with at the moment. And she tells me, yeah, that should be part of your identity now. You're like, I'm a podcaster. And I was like, this is even a layer deeper than that. Because I was so proud of myself for being like, hey, I said it. And I surprised myself for claiming it when someone asked me what I do. But I was like, I have a podcast. You see how it's like, oh, I have this thing. And so when you say I am a podcaster, first of all, this is extremely hard to pronounce for my French. But podcaster, I'm a podcaster. I don't know. My point is, when we want something that we currently don't have, when we have big ambition, what does that actually mean? That means that we are trying to create for ourselves a better, more successful, more abundant future. It means we don't experience this reality yet. That means we don't have the practice of saying, hey, I'm a brunette. Like, it makes so much sense. I've been brunette my whole life, It's part of me. It's part of my identity. There is no charge. I'm neutral around it. But there is a lot of work when you are claiming something, but you are still in the early stages of not really knowing what you're doing, of trying your best and not necessarily having the success that you are inspired to have. Maybe you're even struggling, and maybe you even have the identity of someone who is struggling, someone who is just starting, someone that is not really serious, and you have associated that to yourself without even realizing it. That's why we get stuck in the hobby girl energy, because we treat the business just like another passion. You go to an art class and you go to a workout, and then you end up on a full moon ceremony, and then you work on your business, and there is no difference between that. They are all passion and hobby. You don't really have a schedule for yourself. You go with the flow. You don't really have a structure for yourself. You don't have boundaries with your clients. And we tend to blame that on the fact that we are passionate about what we do, or that we are multi-passionate. That's a whole other conversation for another episode that I'm really passionate about. But that should never be a reason for not treating the business like a business. Treating your business like a business means that there is a difference between passion and professionalism. And I know What are you going to tell me? If you're like me, you want a business that feels like you. You want a business that feels different, that treats people with so much kindness, respect, fun, lightness. Like you don't want the professionalism. Like that's a word that I want to throw up. When I hear it, I just want to throw up because that's everything I left. That's why I didn't want to go and work a corporate job. That's why I left business school feeling like I was so different from all of my colleagues in business school because I was like, I'm so different. I want to create something different. I don't want to send an email that says, I hope this email's found you well. Best regards. Fuck no, it's just not me. And so I didn't want that version of professionalism. But there is something really positive about being professional in your work and treating yourself seriously, because people are going to treat you the way you treat yourself. You probably know that because we're all self-help books girlies, but people are going to treat your business the way you treat your business. If you treat it seriously, which means you have working hours, you don't show up in your pajamas, you actually invest in proper software so people can pay you or book with you in a way that is professional, you make the kind of investment that a CEO would do. And I really don't know why we don't start with this in business coaching. That's like the first thing I do with my clients. But when I started to invest in business coach, we were talking about niche and finding your niche and doing market research and whatnot and showing up on social media and fighting imposter syndromes and all of that. When I feel like really, if I started with those two big blocks of like a business move and an embodiment practice, a business move and an embodiment practice, a solid plan, profitable business, an offer suite that makes sense, a business model that actually works, a real strategy for my growth, what I'm going to sell and when I'm going to sell it, what is going to bring in cash, and not just journaling, I'm a podcaster, I'm a CEO, I'm this, but actually feeling it in my body, starting to show up as her, starting to go and find the imposter in me and work with it and feel it and find my insecurities and the blocks and the things that have been blocking me when it comes to receiving money and stating my rates and my worthiness and all those things. If I had those two combined together, I just wonder how fast I would have grown and how I wouldn't have lost years of my life trying to figure it out. And I feel like this is the future. Let's be honest. I really profoundly believe this is the future of business. I think that business as we know it today is going to die. The bro marketing at some point is going to die. More and more people are in search for purpose, and especially with how society is evolving. But I profoundly believe that the way of doing business without heart, without passion, without involving the body, without really working on those deeper layers, I think that's going to be dead in a few years. And I feel like we're here to build a different era of leaders, people that represents us, that do business in a way that is human, profoundly human, that shares with vulnerability, and we share the skills and we just help and serve each other with a lot of strategy, with a lot of really good tactics, but not like those shady, I'm trying to sell you something tactics. Just I'm offering something and I deserve to be paid for this. And we all deserve to exchange money and wealth and enrich this community. So really my point today was, I don't want to see you undercharging. I don't want to see you having your voice shaking when you need to raise your rates or you need to even state your rates. I don't want to see you posting daily on social media with no strategy behind it because you're wasting your time. Not because it's not going to work or not because your content is not good. Your content is really, really fucking good. But if you don't have a proper strategy of what are you trying to sell? To who? Do you know really your people? Are you talking to your people? Or are you just doing trends or trying to apply the marketing skills that you've been taught without really knowing why you do what you do? Because if you're here to entertain people on social media every single day, no matter how consistent you are, you will not create the lifestyle, the millions, the empire that you want. We need to be so realistic with this. And I don't know why, but the spiritual business realm that I really wanted to join, right? When I started my business, I was looking for someone that could help me, that had that spiritual, deep, feminine, thoughtful approach to business. because that's how I wanted to do business. That's how I see my future. But in this industry, I also realized we are sold a lie a lot. We need to be realistic about the nature of being an entrepreneur, running a business, building something different, building something new. And part of being realistic is realizing that half of the advices that we receive are for people that are not out at our level. They have either a large audience and a large community already, and they can sell a free ebook or a $300 program. Yes, volumes matters and showing up consistently matters, but if you're here to entertain your people and people never get to know your story and why you do things and to really see you and how you can help them get to where they want with your service or your products, what is it all for? You're going to waste your freaking time, and I don't want to see you doing that. I don't want to see you wasting your time feeling insecure about yourself because you feel like you should be somewhere else or you should be somebody else. And I don't want you to waste your time feeling small. Girl, I felt small for so long in my life and so many times, and it always comes back, fucking hell. And I always have to initiate myself through those moments of not being at my fullest potential. But the more I think about it, the more I realize I have no freaking time for this. I have no time for being under my potential. I am here to live my life, to follow what I have in my guts for so many years. I'm so possessed. I asked my friend from the US, my friends, I was like, help me with the English here, because possessed sounds really negative, like I'm possessed by something and it's kind of scary, but I'm really possessed by my mission. And if you're here listening to that, I'm guessing that you are probably feeling the same, and that you have this thing inside of you, this, you don't really know where you're going, but you're going and you're moving one step after another in the direction of your dreams. And you really know that you want to be a fulfilled individual, someone that just embrace all of who they are and are not afraid to share all of that. And I'm sure there are some really amazing specificity to you that you don't even see. You don't even see because it's you and it's natural and it's how you do things. But I'm sure if we ask your clients, your friends, the people that loves you, you are so unique and you have a unique approach. And when we can extract this uniqueness and it's like a tiny little thing that you take and you place it in the palm of your hand and then you blow on it, and then it grows into the fullest potential. It takes up all the space. That's what I want for you. That's how I want to see you. I want to see you claiming fully what you do, who you are, who you want to be, in your dreams and your ambition without shame. And to take that thing that is so special about you and to display it so much that you will find your people. But again, that going through the body looks like practices like really doing your bird call, using your voice to reclaim what you want, to anchor your identity. It could also be some deep rituals about energetically connecting with your people. But it's also a freaking strategy. How do we get there? How do we build the foundations that are solid enough so that you build something that will last in time too? Because we're obsessed with numbers, which is 100% legit. Like, of course, I'm obsessed with numbers too. We all are, even when we pretend we're not. Because they mean something. There is a difference between making $47 a month and making $10K a month. There is a difference in the number, and there is a difference in what you can do with that and the freedom that it gives you and the choices that it opens, the doors that opens with that. If you have two people seeing your stories, you have two people seeing your stories. But beyond the numbers, because the numbers can be accessible for a while and then disappear if we don't have the right foundation, we want something that lasts in time. How do we build something strong enough to last in time? We work so deep in your identity so that we anchor that so profoundly that there is no going back. There is no going back to your insecurities. Of course, you're going to fluctuate. Of course, new level, new devil. There's always going to be something, which is super freaking exciting, by the way, which means we have so much more room all of our lives to grow, learn, and become wiser and see ourselves and our evolution and be like, oh my God, like I'm always on my way to be even more badass. But we also want to be able to look back and be like, wow, I cannot believe I was there. This is so not my reality anymore. And this is what we're doing. This is what we're building in here in this community. We are going from something that we've known our whole lives, probably what our parents, grandparents, all of the family, all of the people at school, like we are going from that environment, growing into a whole different reality that we haven't tasted yet. We haven't experienced yet. So we need a fucking solid plan for that. And I figured that the best way to get there is really to bring feminine magic, masculine structure together. It's really to bridge the manifestation world, but also the tangible, practical. And when we have that together, magic, absolute magic. So let me know, what are you building? What version of the hobby girl, what version of undercharging, of being lost and confused when building your empire are you at? I really want to know. So let's connect on Instagram. Let me know where you're at. What are you working with? What are you overcoming at the moment? Let's chat. And don't forget that you can win a 45-minute audit with me as a mini little tease of Business Activator just by rating and reviewing this podcast. So all you have to do is write a review, you screenshot it, you send it to me on Instagram, and you're entered for the giveaway. Each month we have 3 winners. This is not going to be like that forever, trust me. But for now, you have a chance to win. So enter. It's so easy to do it. It really supports the podcast. And you're helping a girl on a mission. I will see you next Friday.